Good evening. Welcome to the Napoleon Memoirs, where we obsess about Napoleon, but in a new way, because I'm in the middle of the weirdest experience imaginable. I can't believe this is happening, but it's happening. Um, as I have said many times, I am telepathic, and I do have supernatural abilities, and I can hear ghosts sometimes. So I've just gotten used to being like this, and I can see the future. Sometimes I don't always know it's the full story, unfortunately, but I have good abilities, and I feel like I've been guided to do this project the way I've done it. And I know it's been very disruptive, and I didn't want to be disruptive to anyone, and particularly to the young people involved. I feel really bad about that, but it's they have no future in a world under this rulership. So if shaking up their lives now is what it takes to hopefully ensure that they have a better future where the truth prevails, hopefully one day we can have a financial system that's based on something real, like commodities or labor. And that's what I'm trying to hopefully get people thinking about, that we can't have a crime based global money system and survive, because they don't want us here. They want a country club, and they have their own plans. And that's why they're constantly financially warring on us. They have very clever ways of warring on us. And we don't even realize that we're being attacked financially, at the mental level, at the spiritual level, and to create a world where only one group can get all the money they want, and everyone else has to wonder how to get money. And then they find out that the way to get money is by serving the criminals. And that's the world we're in. And that's part of why I started this project. When I turned 40, I realized there was no opportunities, and there was, the American dream was just a dream. It was a lie, basically. And I couldn't really, I had tried it, truly everything. And I knew there was no way to to succeed and not feed into organized crime. I was well aware of the role that organized crime was playing in the government under which I live, and amongst the wealthy people in my area. I could perceive it very easily. So it's I've been trying to find out what's going on, and through this process, I've learned a lot of things. And my favorite musician was always Elvis Costello, who I call Cohen now, King of America, Napoleon Dynamite. And he has always been a really essential part of this project, because I always wanted to have his music in it. And he's inspired me so much. But I also had this drama with him, uh, unilateral, I suppose. I just thought I was a fan who was having a very bad time being a fan of his, for various reasons, and and then I was subverted, and the agents who have been swirling around this project the whole time got me into a state of I don't know, like attacking celebrities. I was like engineered into it, and but what I was saying was the truth. So that's how they like trapped me into it, because they know I'm going to want to tell the truth, and they know I'm going to want to expose things. So then I was positioned as someone who's very against celebrities. And, I helped them a lot by uh, exposing my former neighbor. I believe he's not my neighbor anymore, Matt Lauer. And I had an experience with him where let's just say he was showing me that he's an actor, and I most certainly wouldn't want to get my news from him. That's very rude to say, but You certainly can look up me and Matt Lauer and what happened there, and that was my point. The particulars weren't important. The important part was that this person is not that person you see on TV. Therefore, he's an actor. And since he's an actor, think twice about what he's telling you. That was my point. It wasn't really my point to attack rich people or celebrities. It was to say, um, we're like under feudalism. People are shocked if you even question like a rich person. And that's a lot of what I wanted people to think about. Like, why are you so shocked? How come I can't question my betters? It's so like worse than feudalism. And I want people to see that. So so a year later, about probably, I wasn't very nice to Cohen, Elvis Costello, and I don't feel great about it, but I still don't think the things I said weren't true. But I now believe that he was very much maneuvered into looking like that. And I don't believe for a second that's how he wanted things to turn out. And I know that now. But I had a very extremely negative view of him. It was just funny because everybody just loves him. And I had this like completely dark view of him, and I just thought he was not I thought he was, I really thought he was one of them, and that he was a real deceiver. I really did believe that about him, and I don't believe that anymore. And even though I had this terrible, terrible view of him, he came out with, um, I couldn't even hear his music. I wouldn't even listen to his press. I wouldn't have anything to do with him because and I realize now it's because I had so many feelings about him that I couldn't handle it. That's the problem. So anyway, so I could listen to his music. I couldn't even listen to him, and I just blocked it out. So finally, I did listen to something that he did, and it was this song. I can't say her name, and I just knew it was about me. I just knew it was about me. I couldn't doubt it. Anyway, so this song that he wrote and put out, I believe in 2020, was it's the situation I'm in right now is in this song. I'm just going to read the lyrics. I hope it's not too boring for me to do that. But I really want people to know um, this is happening to me. I'm not somebody who's just so uh, wanting to be a fan with a delusion about this musician. This is somebody I hate to say it, but I just completely wrote him off, and I thought he was not a good person. And I really I wouldn't have thought about him any further because I had so much evidence that he was in on it. And then this song comes out, and I'm like, that person that I think he is wouldn't write this song. So that's when I had my illusions shattered about him. Anyway, I'll read the lyrics if you don't mind. I can't say her name. How can I show my face? I'm a mess, and I fear I may confess. I'm a fool with or without her. Make up what you will about her. It's part of the game. I can't say her name. I've been left in the dark. Shine a light right in my eyes. You'll never make me talk. Alibis I must protect. An alias you won't detect. I won't place the blame. I can't say her name. I whisper it so soft and slow when I think no one's listening. No one knows. The thought of her, so strong and slow, stays on my mind. I won't ever let her go. How can I go to sleep when I know all too well I'm in this thing too deep? It's all I can do not to shout about it. I don't need your pity. I'm powerless and proud, and I don't feel ashamed. Oh, but I can't say her name, and that's all. And at the time when this song came out, I always closed my memoirs saying, that's it. On the stream, you could hear it. So that's really, I just felt like that was a message, particularly that he added that at the end, because I always said that's it at the end of the memoirs. So I just couldn't see any room for doubt. So how was I supposed to take that? You know, this is somebody who I was very, I don't say judgmental, but accusatory. Certainly, I was very accusatory towards him, and I don't like how I was with him, but I don't know. I felt like I still feel like I should have done it, and you know, I've seen like through his songs, and I'm telepathic with him now. That's what's so. How can I prove that I'm telepathic with him? And then this song is showing you that he does want to reach out to me. He does want to say things to me, but he can't. It's in the I'm it's the only reason I write you the song. And if you really go through his records from at least Look Now, Hey Clock Face, and now I'm starting to think Hey Clock Face is like clock the faces. You know, like hey person who clocks the faces. And you know, could be one of the meanings. And also A Boy Named F. These three albums, he's saying all kinds of things in them. And I definitely heard, you know, I want to talk to you, be telepathic with me. And he's saying all kinds of things in these songs along the lines of, I, I really want to reach out to you, but I'm being constrained, really constrained. I really, if I'm going to talk to you, it has to be telepathically because I am under such constraint. Even though it looks like he's this, you know, jet setting big shot, I- that's not that's not what I'm getting. I'm getting that he is somebody who's like, I hate to say it, but like they're masking the fascism. I hate to say it that way, but because they're masking the fascism, it's so important to keep the illusion up. So I think the people who are masking the fascism, which is the entertainers, if you just listen to them, if you just see the whole thing, it's we live under a very, very horrible fascism, and then we have all of these entertainers putting on shows for us, so we won't see it. And it, this is not some fun party world we're in. We're in an extremely oppressive situation, and the whole thing is set up so the people that conjure up money for themselves and have rigged the game in their favor can continue to rig the game in their favor. And it's interesting that the song mentions it's part of the game. It's all in this song. Anyway, so I am in a situation right now that is ridiculous. I'm like, I seem like I'm an obsessed fan, which I actually am, but not the way it seems. I'm getting roped into this, and I I'm happy to let him run my project. He is running my project, and the proof that he's running my project is that look at it. Like, look at how it was before January. I was just doing like scholarly research and some songs and complaining about these financiers who are very dangerous and, you know, really after me. They're really after me in a big way. They're very dangerous to me. So they're dangerous to me and they're dangerous to everyone else. And then since January, since I have been communicating with him, he, you know, he has different ideas, and he has convinced me that he is Napoleon and he's my twin flame. He has convinced me of this. I could be completely insane and wrong, but he has convinced me that he is Napoleon and he is my twin flame, and that he absolutely cannot call me. He absolutely cannot visit me. He absolutely cannot, in the physical realm, give any indication whatsoever that that we're in contact. So it's some kind of game we're playing, and some things happen. There's some line where he feels he can go up to, and there's some line he feels he can't cross. And I am bewildered and I'm only reacting to it. And he asked me to do the streams. So I'm happy to do the streams. I'm happy really to do anything he asked me to do because I'm convinced he's Napoleon. If I thought he was just some entertainer for masking fascism, I would not in any way be doing these things for him. I wouldn't even be talking to him. I wouldn't have anything to do with him. I mean, the proof that I believe he's Napoleon is that I'm basically letting him do whatever he wants with my project. I have I've ceded control of my project to him, and I think it's really interesting now. I I wouldn't do things the way he does them all the time, but I think he's Napoleon. He's more than free to run my project if he wants to. This project's always been run by Napoleon. It's just that it was like spirit realm Napoleon, and now this is physical realm Napoleon. And like spirit realm Napoleon says that is him. I, I don't get it because it's to me it's like there's three people. It's the two of them, and they're like two aspects of the same person. And it's like Napoleon, Ghost Napoleon is like the higher self, and then the physical person is in a really tight spot, and I will certainly do anything to help. And I want everyone to know that um, I am in a very awkward position, and it's very weird for me to do all these things for someone who I can't ever talk to and I can't ever see. And that's I don't know how I'm going to get used to that, but um, it's one thing doing this with someone in the spirit realm. It's another thing doing it for someone who's in the physical realm and can't talk to me. And why can't he talk to me? And it's amazing that he so wanted to basically partner up with me and work with me that he became telepathic with me. And what's so fascinating about this is that I was someone against him who I totally wrote him off, and I feel terrible about that. But I, he was very vilified to me, and I know he didn't want things to turn out the way they did. I know that. And I so want him out of this situation that he's in. I just want him to be free so much. And I know he isn't. I can see, anybody can see he can't speak freely. And I mean, I've been putting up footage of him throughout his career, and it's incredible to watch what he's been through. And this is all a public record. How he could speak more freely than he can now. Something happened, and he even alludes to it in his songs. If you will, if you'll really dig through them, you will start to understand some things about his life. And he's been really like trapped, and we've all been so trapped. And please, let's unite. Let's work together. I mean, he is completely on the other side of the fence. He's one of them basically, and I'm doing everything for him also to make a point that we do need to support each other. It doesn't matter if one person has money and one person doesn't have money, and that's to make us fight. To create such inequality is to create fights. This is on purpose. They want us to hate the elites, and they want the elites to fear us, and they want us to not be able to um, get on the same page. But actually, we are on the same page. We want the same exact things. We want to be happy. We want to be free. We want to enjoy music. We want to enjoy art. We want freedom. There's no difference. And I have said this repeatedly. I live in a very rich area. I live around rich people. Some of them really are insane. There's no question. There's like I think more of them are insane than like per capita, but people are insane everywhere, you know? We all want the same things. We all want to enjoy our lives, and hopefully we want to help each other. And I know most of the rich people here want to be happy and want to be helpful to each other. I don't doubt that for a second. It's just a a few of them that are extremely predatory, but I can just see them. I can see most of them just want to are normal people that want to be happy, and they're doing their best. So we have no reason to not unite and support each other to get free. There are all kinds of ways to exchange goods and interact with each other in a way that's not based on terrorism and lying and inequality. If we had more equality, we would actually get along better. But some people get everything, some people get nothing. That's to create problems. And this dynamic is duplicated in country to country. This is like I hate to say English government technique, but it is to let one group have everything and one group have nothing. And then uh, when it's time to set them up to kill each other, and the poor people outnumber the rich people, and then the poor people kill the rich people. And then that's wonderful for the secret societies because that's just more power for them. That this is a regular thing where like kind of they like the rulers to get wiped out so then they can take everything from them. That's what happened to Hortense's father. He was an aristocrat ruler of France, and he was guillotined as an innocent man because this is what the secret societies do. They want the rulers to be dead, and then they can just sweep everything up. And they've been doing this for centuries. And please, let's unite, okay? So to prove my point, I think I'm in a pretty hot spot. I don't feel that comfortable with it. It bothers me a lot. I don't really like working for someone that I can't talk to. Um, if he's physically in this world, if like I said, if he was just a spirit, he can't, but when it's a real person, it's very disturbing. Like like is this a game? Am I being taken advantage of? What is going on here? And I can't ever talk to him. So I have to just read between the lines, extrapolate things, try to understand what's going on. And it leaves me really just bewildered and confused a lot. And I just want to prove that these things really are happening. And like I said, the proof is that my project has been transformed into um, something that's just from his perspective. I'm not a I'm not a 60s teenager from England by any stretch of the imagination at all. I was I was different. I was 80s. So, but I love learning about his perspective. I love hearing his music. And I think he's such an ambassador for music. Not me, him, you know? So now he's like bringing his ambassador to music thing to my project. And I love it. But you cannot pretend that I've been the biggest ambassador for music in the world. I haven't. He has. And now he's bringing that incredible flair to my project, and I love it. Like I love it. It's what it's been missing, and so I love it. I love what's happening, and I want people to see that it's happening. But whatever this constraint is, whatever it is, I hate it. Like I like everything, but this weird thing where I clearly from the song I've been blacklisted, and who blacklisted me? And whoever blacklisted me, that's dirty organized crime tactics. That's monopolies, cartels. Everything about that is illegal. And they think they can get away with it because they're always hiding and sneaking around. How could I ever figure out who put the blacklisting out on me? It's the people who have all the money. That's who did it. It's the people who did 9/11 who have all the money. That's who blacklisted me. There's no question. There's no question who that is. So it's very easy to prove these things. A it's not a great mystery who's doing these things to us, who's uh, capturing geniuses um, and blacklisting me and finagling me into house arrest with a story that can't be proved to my knowledge in court in any way whatsoever. Therefore, it doesn't legally exist. It only exists in the mind of masses of publicists who are paid to say something. And all of these kind of fascist front entertainers who have hooks in them, and They say whatever they're told to say, or else they lose their money and maybe even physical threats. So it's not as if they're all telling you the story because they just love, love, love to trick you. These people have, I mean, almost literal guns to their head. So, I mean, be mad at the celebrities, but don't, because they're caught too. I'm caught. They're caught. We're all caught. We have to unite. Really talk to each other, love each other, move on. And I'm begging you to help this situation change, because if this is my twin flame Napoleon, you're not going to have me. I'm going to go crazy. I can't talk to him, and he's my twin flame Napoleon. This is the other half of my soul. This is, I know it's a messy situation, but this is my own soul. This is the only thing I think about. I don't know how to deal with this. Like I said, if he's just a ghost, I'll just wait to go back to him. I can handle that. But if he's like, I can't handle this. This is not something I can handle, that he's alive but can't talk to me. It's anyway, so I'm trying to prove that he really is Napoleon. And the best way that I can do that is by showing you letters by Napoleon, so you can really have an idea what his personality was. And I think his love letters to Josephine are a great reflection of his like ardent, obsessive twin flame self, because he doesn't he doesn't know Josephine. He does not know her. So he's projecting himself at her completely. He's writing these letters to someone that he's idealizing, he's imagining. This is all him. And she's even cheating on him. That's how cynical she was about this marriage. She was not a bad person, but the facts don't speak well of her in many, 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 many instances. But she was so sweet and so charming. But I don't know. She, she wasn't just a good person, but she could be good, and she was generous, and she was kind of good. She was a mixed bag for sure. She was not a bad person, though. Anyway, so she's cheating on him. He's not cheating on her because he's so wrapped up in this, I think, this like romantic fantasy, where in this fantasy, he really can be with his other half and he really can be happy with her. And if he can be with his romantic counterpart, he's not going to cheat on her. He's not cheating on her. He thinks he's going to have what he wanted. And that's why this is such an amazing reflection of this twin flame situation. And then when he snaps out of it, he's not that into her anymore. And then he finds out she was cheating. He wants to divorce her. And then what happens? His family's thrilled. His family always wants him to divorce her, which is what kept them married. If you try to force Napoleon to do something, he's going to do the opposite. Very similar to Cohen also. I think he's the same exact way. If you try to make him do something, he is going to fight it. Napoleon's exactly the same way. It's the same personality. I can go on and on and on and on how it's the same exact personality. Oh my goodness. So he wanted to divorce Josephine because he found out she was cheating on him. Patterns. And then how does Josephine keep Napoleon from divorcing her? She gets her daughter involved and brings her children to cry to him. So manipulative, but it worked. So Napoleon stayed in that marriage because her daughter said to him, "You promised to not abandon me." That's what happened. So even from that point, Josephine was using her daughter to keep that marriage going. Just to show you who the daughter is, who the mother is. And here's another letter. Forgive my rambling. But this is the next love letter to Josephine. I hope I set that up pretty well so you can understand. This is who he is. Okay? To the Cydnus Bonaparte, care of the Cydnus Beauharnais, Rue 6, Ruth Chateaubriand, Paris, Nice, 10th Germinal, year 4. I have not passed a day without my loving you. I have not passed a night without clasping you in my arms. I have not taken a cup of tea without cursing that glory and that ambition which keeps me separated from the soul of my life in the midst of affairs, at the head of troops, moving through camps, my thoughts. My adorable Josephine is alone in my heart, absorbs my thoughts. If with the speed of the torrent of the Rhone I separate myself further and further from you, it is that I may see you again the sooner. If in the midst of the night I rise to work, it is to hasten by some days the arrival of my sweet love. And yet in your letters, the 23rd and the 26th Ventos, you treat me to a voo. Voo yourself. Ah, wicked one, how could you have written those letters? How cold they are. And then between the 23rd and 26th were 4 days. What were you doing that you did not write your husband? Ah, my love, that voo and those 4 days make me regret my old indifference. Woe to the man who should be the cause. May he suffer all the agonies that would be mine were guilt proved. Hell has not torments, nor the fury snakes enough. Voo! Voo! Ah, what will a fortnight bring? My soul is sad. My heart is enslaved. My imagination terrifies me. You love me less. You're going to be consoled. Some day you will not love me anymore. Tell me. At least I will know how to deserve such a misfortune. At you, woman, torment, joy, hope, and soul of my life, whom I love, whom I fear, who inspires in me tender feelings, which summon up nature and emotions as impetuous and volcanic as thunder. I do not demand eternal love or fidelity, but only truth, frankness, without limit. The day when you shall say, I love you less, will be the last day of my love or the last day of my life. If my heart should be vile enough to love without return, I would bite it to bits with my own teeth. Josephine, Josephine, remember what I've sometimes said to you. Nature has given me a soul strong and determined. It has fashioned yours of lace and gauze. Have you ceased to love me? Pardon, soul of my life. My mind is astretch upon vast enterprises. My heart, entirely occupied by you, has fears which make me miserable. Not to be able to address you by your name in person, it irks me. I expect you to write me. At you. Ah, if you love me less, you should never have loved me. I would then indeed be an object of pity. Bonaparte. That's him. That's Napoleon. Oh, there's a PS. I gotta add that. Gonna have to add that. Okay, let me add it. PS. The war has changed quite out of recognition. I have issued food and forage. My cavalry will soon be on the march. My soldiers show an inexpressible confidence in me. You alone cause me sorrow. You alone, the joy and the torment of my life. A kiss to the children, of whom you never say a word. To be sure, that would make the letters longer by half. Visitors at 10 of the morning would not have the pleasure of seeing you. Woman! 3 exclamation points. 3 explanation points. I say that wrong. Explanation points. Exclamation points. I I don't even know what to add to that. That's him. That's the way he is. That is the way he is. That's his personality. That's why those letters are so perfect. You know how he is. Anyway. So he wants to be very merged with his wife. He already knows something's up. He wouldn't be happy with a woman like that. That's why he's breaking down. He's realizing he hasn't found her again. And then you're going to see, if you listen to the memoirs, the book specifically that I'm talking about is Napoleon and Women, you'll see that he falls in love with one woman after another, and they're all like reflections of his stepdaughter Hortense. They're all like sad and smart, and they're musicians, and they're kind of romantic, kind of idealistic. So he has this. He's looking for her. He knows the type he wants, and he knows he can't be with the stepdaughter because he made his stepdaughter his sister-in-law. So he really couldn't. Stepdaughter. See how hard he made it. Stepdaughter and sister-in-law. Anyway, so he really wanted her hooked, and he did hook her until they captured him for the second time. Did they capture him the first time? Could you call it? Yeah, it's Elba capture. Arguable. They definitely captured him the second time. Anyway, so now we're going to read Cohen's really funny memoirs and see if the personality is the same. I know it is. It's the same exact personality. That's not just telepathic. I can just see it. It's very obvious. All right, let's continue. In the days after my friend Tony was killed, it was difficult to go back to school and carry on as before. It was hard not to think that some other afternoon we might have used that lunch hour to walk all the way down to Whitechapel, where we'd pretend we were going to buy albums in the record departments at Rushworth's, NAMS, or Beaver Radio. Tony didn't like to take a direct route through the center of town, as we might run into his father, who worked on a stall selling the Liverpool Echo. I knew his dad was estranged from the family, and Tony knew that my parents were separated, but that's as much as the guard came down. We didn't talk about our feelings or any of that kind of thing. We'd have had the shop assistants play a few new tracks from an LP under a listening hood, even though they probably knew we didn't have any money. They were indulgent, and I'd make the occasional purchase of discounted sheet music or one of a box of reduced 45s on the counter. Most of these deleted titles were bubblegum fare that had outstayed their welcome in the charts, but sometimes you'd stumble upon a gem. One day, I rummaged through the discs and found an Electra single that I'd read about in Zigzag magazine, which featured articles about Captain Beefheart and Love and other outfits that you couldn't read about anywhere else. The magazine had also printed Pete frames meticulously hand drawn rock family trees, explaining how members of Zoot Money's Big Roll Band had mutated into Dantalion's chariot, and other absolutely essential information. It was due to such a framed diagram that I knew that Please Let Me Love You by the Beefeaters was actually an early recording by a group that had been just about to change its name to The Birds. I'd seen the Birds play twice in 1971. The first time was a ferocious show at Liverpool University, at which Clarence White's 20-minute Telecaster solo during 8 Miles High had just about eased the pain of seeing Liverpool lose to Arsenal in the FA Cup final earlier in the afternoon. The second occasion involved traveling right across the country to the cathedral town of Lincoln. I was a fairly naive 16-year-old who'd never slept in a field, but my friend John was a couple of years older and thought responsible enough to get us there and back without us getting into any trouble. We were given strict instructions from John's parents not to swallow anything we didn't recognize, and my Nana packed us some sandwiches. Lincoln was to be a 1 day festival, but we had to camp on the site the night before in order to catch as many of the acts as possible. John had been a scout, so he knew a thing or two about pitching a tent, even in a howling rainstorm. Unfortunately, I didn't know that you don't touch the canvas from the inside, and we spent the rest of the night shivering and trying to dry out. By the standards of British summertime, the next day was blisteringly hot, and the ground was soon baked dry. We got ourselves a good viewing spot and dined on disgusting fake vegetarian ham from a can, which might as well have been rations of bully beef. The bill of the Lincoln Folk Festival had its share of English folk stars, from Sandy Denny to Pentangle and Steely Span, but the day kicked off with the harmonica and guitar of Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. I had one of Tim Harden's records, so seeing his name on the poster was reason enough to get there early. I didn't know enough about the effects of drugs to recognize what made his performance seem so fragile and scattered, with just a few moments of unsteady beauty. They got a little long on jigs and reels and fey hippie songs for my liking. So when the acoustic birds arrived around sundown and proceeded to plug in and storm through, "So you want to be a rock and roll star?" It was just the jolt that they needed. A year earlier, the birds had been rained out at the Bath Festival, so played an impromptu acoustic set that had gone over really well, hence their billing at Lincoln. After that opening electric blast, Roger McGuinn and the band brought out their acoustic guitars, but the crowd found that Clarence White was just as dazzling on his Martin as he was on his Fender. Like most festivals in those days, nothing ran on time. We arrived at Lincoln Station in time to see the last train out of town. Pulling out of sight, tipped out our pockets to find that we had barely enough money between us for a cup of tea, let alone a night and a bed and breakfast. There seemed no sense in heading back to the festival site, so we rolled out our blankets and tried to sleep on the now chilly stone floor of the station building. Any sleep we managed must have been pretty fitful. We stirred at first light, shivering more from exhaustion than the temperature. It was still long before the train started running again. Suddenly, an exotically attired figure appeared out of nowhere, strolling along the line of stragglers like a drill sergeant at the sound of reveille. He told us he was from Nigeria, but he spoke in a theatrical upper-class English accent. He seemed to take pity on our bedraggled appearance and offered us breakfast at his flat. This was expressly the kind of invitation that our parents had instructed us to refuse. But we followed him a few blocks to what looked like beat up student accommodation. Walls were lined with psychedelic posters, and there was a lingering in the air of incense and funny cigarettes. Our host disappeared through a beaded curtain, and suddenly loud music was booming from the next room, despite the early hour. Seconds later, he draped himself in a doorway, smoking a joint and wearing just a blue satin robe gathered carelessly at his waist. "Fuck me, he's got no kicks on," said John, and we bolted for the door. Okay. just like Napoleon. This is a different atmosphere. Napoleon was much more street-leased than this one. Anyway. Okay. It's funny. This book's really funny. Anyway. So, thank you for listening. I appreciate it.